Hello and welcome back to the Football Chat. Today we're going to be talking about Ipswich Town and their season so far as they have lit up the Championship with their fast attacking football and their impenetrable defence. Harry, have you been impressed by Ipswich this season?
I have been. I mean, they've looked very good. You look to the top of the Championship and you see the three sides that went down, but we're looking at Ipswich Town as a side who came up.
Yeah.
And I mean, not only that, but obviously previous times in the Championship was pretty dismal. Back to the Mick McCarthy days of Ipswich Town, where they'd probably sit around mid-table, maybe nearly get into playoffs, but never really going anywhere. To then go down, and then for Kieran McKenna to come in and take them back up to the Championship, and now to put them where they are, it's been a very good feat.
Yeah, indeed, and I think it's been made even more impressive by the fact that their fixture list has been quite difficult. They've not had very easy matches. They've played Leeds. Admittedly, they've lost that one, but they've still played them. They've played Sunderland. They've had Stoke coming up next. They've got Hull, but that game will be done by the time this goes out, but we're recording before it. How do you think they will have got on against Hull?
I think that home advantage, they make that home advantage count. To be fair, the atmosphere at Portman Road is massive because, for a long time and a while, there's a real buzz about Ipswich fans. So I think that should be a positive result, but as you say, it will be tough. I think the other thing I want to touch on is obviously I know majority about the Championship, but I mean the win against Wolves in the FL Cup.
Well, I was going to mention obviously 22 points from 9 games so far, including a victory over Premier League side Wolves. A lot of people fancying them to get promoted. They would be the first side to do back-to-back promotions since Southampton in 2011-12. Do you think they could pull it off?
I think it will take a lot. We are only
9 games
in. There's 46 to play, or 46 to be played. There's 46 in the Championship season.
Yeah.
There's not. I haven't got 54
I was
games.
going to say, what a weird number of games to play, but
still a very long way to go, and we've still got to see sides like Southampton, sides like Leeds hit their top performance. I think they'll be up there at the end of the season, but I mean, they've looked brilliant so far.
I was going to say they've started very, very well, and I think a big key behind that is their manager, Kieran McKenna. How highly do you rate McKenna?
I think he's brilliant. We've seen a lot of this, players that have come, previously a coach at Manchester United, coming into management himself and doing really well. I think the way he plays football is really, it's good, but it's also exciting.
Yeah.
You see a lot of Championship managers, they're your typical English Steve Bruce, 4-4-2, let's kick it long. McKenna is part of this more modernising the Championship. We're seeing it at Leicester, at Hull. Ipswich.
We saw it last season at Swansea with Russell Martin, now at Southampton. We saw it last season at Burnley. Didn't really see it at Sheffield United and Rob Edwards and Luton Town, but
I think
different styles.
What he does on the pitch is brilliant, but I think obviously this won't just be him, but everyone back in the backroom staff for Ipswich, for their recruitment has been brilliant. Really smart.
Yeah, I mean, it helps when you have money to invest, and we're not going to shy away from the fact they have spent quite a bit of money. They've got one of the highest outlays of the Championship and definitely of League One last season. So that's obviously not something that helps, of course. But I think they've done really well. I also think there's a really good feeling around the club. There's a lot of people who were not disenchanted. Is that the right word? Not very interested in Ipswich Town. A lot of their fans, or the sort of fair weather fans, wouldn't bother going as they struggled through the Championship. Were a bit met in League One, but McKenna came in, they shot up League One, they're now into the Championship. It's a real feel-good factor around the club at the moment. I think that's encouraging fans through the turnstiles. It's bringing more and more fans, as I say, into the stadium, and that's having a huge impact because it's a real good feeling that only drives more confidence. And I mean, they've had a fantastic run now of, I believe, 27 matches, and they've only lost 1 in that time span. So
that's absolutely crazy.
Maintaining momentum has been absolutely crucial. In the last 27 games in league competition, they've only lost once, conceding just 16 goals since the 24th of January this year.
I mean, that's mental. And you look at their stats in the Championship this year, outperforming their XG while having the joint most clean sheets and, conceding, very few per game. I think it's an average of 1.2, which is like third best in the league. To be honest, they're the highest every stat apart from Leicester.
Yeah, I saw a graph the other day where it shows the discrepancy between expected goals against and expected goals for. Non-penalty XG as well, so it doesn't factor that in. And looking back at the Paul Cook era, it was very, I mean, at times they had more expected goals against than goals for, which is obviously very negative, and that was in League One. And obviously at the end of that championship campaign, you look at McKenna now and it's a complete difference. Night and day, they're dominating in terms of being able to create chances, but also the fact they don't concede many chances either. So in that regard, they're doing really, really well. As I say, momentum is a huge factor. In terms of how they play then, Ipswich are a fantastic transitional side, very similar to sort of a Liverpool, I would say. They love to win the ball back and go quick on the counter-attack. And their main threat comes from their wingers, obviously Nathan Broadhead on the left, Wes Burns on the right, because they can burst forward, look for cutbacks, or go alone if the chance becomes a thing. But mainly looking for cutbacks, mainly looking for Connor Chaplin. How high do you rate Connor Chaplin? Do you think he's a good footballer?
I think he's looked very good.
Yeah.
He's one of those players where he tore up League One. You thought, will he cut it in the Championship? And yes, he has by far. As you say, he's got that service from Burns. I mean, obviously bringing in Mari Hutchinson as well. This on loan from Chelsea this season. He took a couple of games to get going, but he's looked brilliant.
It's that pace in wide areas they really, really need, and that's exactly what they got from Amari. That's a nice rotation with Broadhead. And then, Chaplin, 26 goals in the league last season, already notched up 3 for them this term. I mean, if he can keep firing, there's every chance that Ipswich could end up in a decent position. So, I mean, I want to... There was a goal against Sheffield Wednesday, which I think perfectly demonstrates how they play. They had the ball at the back, and they played out really quickly. So they played out to Leif Davis. Then you see the midfield split. So you've got Massimo Luongo, who moves up to the wide left, and Morsey comes inside. Sam Morsey, obviously, those two in a midfield partnership. But Luongo moves out left, makes the space there for the left back. Then Luongo plays it over the top into Broadhead, who bursts forward. This is their breaking at speed. They get in behind, cuts it back to Connor Chaplin. But the crucial part of how he can cut it back to Connor Chaplin is Freddie Ladapo. I think a lot of people look at Ladapo's outlying numbers and they're not anything to be that intrigued by. They're not astonishing, to be honest. He scored a couple goals every now and then, but what he does is make so much space for Connor Chaplin playing in the 10 role that day, and Broadhead cuts it back. Chaplin scores. It's a fantastic representation of how they switch the ball from back to front incredibly quickly and get a goal from it. And so we see a lot of teams at the moment in the Championship love playing this heavy possession-based football. I think Southampton probably the greatest example. Hull, who Ipswich obviously played yesterday the time this goes out, they play a similar sort of style under Rosenior. It's quite common now that we see possession-based football, and it's quite refreshing actually to see a high-pressing, almost Gegenpressing style of football from Kieran McKenna. But that's the other thing, he's transitioned or completely transformed. It's their pressing. Pressing is something in the Championship that is, I would say, lacking. We've seen a lot of teams that are very good on the ball, but not very good at pressing. Their team are fantastic in terms of pressing. There's a chart showing how many passes per defensive action across all second-tier teams. So that shows you how much sort of dominance you have in terms of pressing, and they are 6th in that, so the 6th highest PPDA. Or sorry, 6th lowest, because the lower the better. More pressing, less defending. So they're just sort of dominating across the board, and it's fascinating to see them winning so often, but they often actually have less possession than the opposition.
I mean, I think you look at it, I think the highest in the league is like Southampton on 60-something.
Oh, of course. Southampton's possession is probably like 80%.
And obviously the same with Leicester, they're also at 60%, but they play magnificent.
I'm guessing Preston are bottom at about 3%.
And then Ipswich, I think the summer, they are around that. They get a lot of even splits with teams, at 51-49% you see across games.
Well, we're looking at it last season, Ipswich, 59% was their average possession last season. This season is actually down at 47%. But their defensive actions have been enough to disrupt opponents, and therefore they've gotten away with having less possession. Because they don't need the ball.
No.
Because of the style they play, they don't need to hold on to the ball for long periods of time. And actually, if you look at someone like Southampton, the amount of goals they conceded because they're too lethargic, too slow in playing the ball out, and then they get caught in possession very hard at the pitch. By negating that, by having this fast counter-attacking system, you don't have to hold onto the ball for long, you don't risk turnovers in good areas, and it's working very, very well.
Yeah, they are flying. They're absolutely flying.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's, but they've bought the right players to fit what they want to play, and a lot of those players are coming from Premier League sides, whether it's on loans, whether it's permanents. you've had Hutchinson on loan,
Yeah.
you've had Clark, you've had Hurst, you've had I think Broadhead as well. Buying him last January while they were in League One, kind of knowing that they would get up and get to the Championship.
Yeah.
I think it's brilliant planning.
Yeah, and then furthermore on their play style, then they have the joint highest direct speed in the Championship of 2.06 metres per second on average ball possession. So, yeah, they are very, very good at, as I say, getting that ball forward, and it's have taken more shots from high turnovers, which is where you win the ball within 40 metres of the goal, than any other team in the league. So they've got 20 of those. Leeds the next highest on 17. So you can see a bit, again, they are far and away ahead in that, and that's the big difference really. They're able to get the ball from defence, switch it into attack quickly with fast transitions, and then get it into very good areas where they can finish chances. So they are very, very good. They're a very good side, and I would argue they're one of the most exciting sides to watch in all of English football right now.
I think what you have to they do it perfectly in the Championship. Sometimes they will play their brilliant football and they will look brilliant and they will put 5 past some team, but they also can adapt and they also put the effort in to get those scrappy 1-0s across the line, those scrappy 2-1s where you're like the first game of the season against Sunderland, it was 2-1, wasn't it? And the ref had on several minutes of added time and they held on and Halaki made saves and they just cleared the ball, and I think it's that switch of working hard for the 1-0 and then playing beautifully for the 5-0.
Yeah, 100% agree there. Before we get into our final sort of thoughts and stuff, I just want to read this quote from McKenna. This was after the win over Wolves in the Carabao Cup. He said, "It's a reflection of the work that goes in on day-to-day by a lot of people. The intensity that the players put into training every day enables you to play at the intensity that we played at tonight. But from a tactical point of view, we try and work in a really consistent manner. All the players in the squad get the same level of care and attention and coaching, and it allows them all to stay on the same journey." A couple of things to point out there. Obviously, I really like the use of the journey at the end there, pointing out, this is a journey for Ipswich Town. They have gone from League One to potentially up to the Premier League. I mean, we'll talk about that in just a moment. But there is a clear journey. There is a clear path for destination. Whether they get there or not, they are certainly going about it in the right way. Other things, I think he's really adamant, McKenna, whenever he speaks, that everyone in the club is involved, every single player. Even if you're not starting every week, you're involved in everything, and they always want to try and improve their squad players. Yeah. So if there are injuries, they've got players that can come in and do the job to the same degree. I think that's been a really key thing throughout, and I reckon that comes from the fact that he was a coach. So he'll see he'll know how to develop players, and he'll know what players want from their coaches because he's been there, he's done that. So yeah, I do think that helps him in management. Obviously, McKenna never really played to the highest level. I can't remember what level he played at, but it certainly wasn't Premier League or anything like that. So yeah, hasn't got that experience, but I think what he lacks in terms of playing experience, he more than makes up for in coaching experience. I think he is a magnificent manager. I mean, every Ipswich Town fan I've spoken to is in love with the bloke, and you can understand why when they're sat second in the Championship, 2 points behind Leicester and the highest team in the league not in receipt of parachute payments. So yeah, they're doing really well at the moment. Do you think that there is a serious chance they get promoted this year, or do you think it's one season too early? I think even if they played well enough, I think going up would be a bad thing. Really? I think it would be too quick, because I look at their side is playing really nice football, but I look at the quality of the team. I think it gets swallowed in the Premier League. Yeah, but so what I was going to say, if we look at the Ipswich Town from this season and we look at that squad, how do they compare to Luton? How do they compare to Sheffield United? They recruit well. Well, exactly, especially since they would get money and the fact they already have a healthy investment, whereas Luton obviously are a fan-owned club, so there's not a lot of money there. Sheffield United's owners have given up and stopped investing any money. So in that regard, both those clubs don't have the same finance that Ipswich would have to improve. As we've seen, Ipswich Town know how to recruit players. I mean, the one word that no one ever uses about the Championship is consistency. Because if you, it's one of those where if you can be consistent, you will waltz it. And that's why Burnley were so good last year. Because despite their difficult run at the start, after that they were consistent and they pissed the league. Burnley didn't win in their first 5 games. No. So that's why I think the Championship, a lot of fans are already going, oh, Ipswich are going to go up and, well, Middlesbrough need to sack Carrick or they're down. And I just think it's all very reactionary. Burnley didn't get started until game week 5 and they're still on the league by a canter. Nothing is decided yet at all. No. So I think Ipswich need to keep working at the intensity they're working at now. And other clubs, well, there's still more than enough time to make up the gap.
Eventually, it will click for Southampton and they'll be flying. It will click for Leeds and they'll be flying.
Just about how soon it does and whether Ipswich will already be too far ahead of them by then.
It will be interesting to see.
Personally, I think Leicester will win the league. I don't think there's any debate.
They're going to waltz it. They're going to absolutely waltz it.
I
They're
think
basically playing a version of Pep Guardiola's football in the Championship. That's just mocking it.
Yeah,
really.
a possession-based style of play, which is sensational. The fact they've got Jamie Vardy in there.
It's a Premier League quality team. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, 100%. The fact they could lose Timothy Castagna and not even replace him, I think that says it all.
Yeah, Barnes, Tielemans, they all lost them in the summer.
No, they did sign players like wings and stuff, but... Yeah, I think it's been really interesting to see. I think Leicester will win the league. I think in terms of right now, second place will be contested by the likes of Ipswich. I think Norwich are up there. I think Ipswich and Norwich both fighting at the top of the Championship is fantastic. That
is good. But I think they've played Leeds and lost, which is interesting because Leeds are have been struggling at the moment. They beat Southampton, but again they've been struggling. I think whenever they play Leicester will be an interesting challenge. I think also they've got Norwich coming up.
Yeah.
They beat Sunderland who on the opening day, and Sunderland are fourth, so it's really hard to work out what's going to happen. It's a championship.
Yeah,
you can never predict the Championship.
Ipswich play Norwich on the 16th of December, Leeds on the 23rd of December, and Leicester on the 26th.
Well, that run will somehow...
So that Christmas run, and then QPR after that.
Yeah.
Well, a tough game.
Wow, okay. But I think Ipswich are playing really well. I just don't know whether A, they'll keep it up for the whole season, or B, whether they'll keep it up to the standard that they need to beat teams that will be coming back through.
But to be 6 points ahead of Sunderland in fourth is a fantastic achievement so far. And I do think that unless they have a major collapse, they're in a very good position.
And I mean, compared to the other sides that came up, Sheffield's Wednesday have been abysmal, and to be fair to Plymouth, they've done
they've looked decent, and they claimed a big victory over Norwich last weekend. That's going to be crucial for them. Sheffield's Wednesday got 2 points. They're already 6 points from survival, so
might as well
they are down.
Yeah, might as well. I mean, I don't know why they sacked Darren Moore.
Well, no, have they sacked him already?
No, remember they sacked him at the start of the season.
Oh, sorry, because Darren Moore's just been hired by someone, hasn't he?
Yeah, they sacked
him
before the season started. He got him out, they went, we don't want you anymore.
Yeah, baffling decision.
Bit rude.
Baffling decision.
Imagine that. You get a team right and they go, we're going to sack you now.
Yeah.
No. But I think Ipswich are flying, and I mean, while the buzz is still there, I think they'll be playing really good stuff.
Yeah. All right, I think that's everything for this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed. With a bit of a new style format. Every week we'll be talking about a different club or different situation for about 15 to 30 minutes, that sort of time span. Of course, if you want to hear us talk more in depth about topics, then head on over to our Spotify or any other audio platform. Look out for our podcast where we'll be talking about probably VAR this week after the Luis Diaz decision, so go check that out. But yeah, that's everything for today. Thank you guys very, very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.